Hello everyone. Good afternoon, Prof. Melvin Esquera, Dr. Winona, and Euis. How are you today?
Yeah,
Okay.
good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to very good afternoon.
Okay.
Mr. Melvin. Is
Good
this Winona?
Hello, good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon to
Hello, good
Could you talk,
afternoon.
please?
Good afternoon, Prof. Melvin.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Warm greeting from Indonesia and the Philippines. Welcome to International General Lecture, jointly organized by Faculty of Engineering, Department of Architecture of Universitas Persada Indonesia Y.A.I, and the College of Engineering and Architecture of St. Louis College, Philippines. This program marked a significant collaboration between two institutions, bringing together brilliant minds to discuss architecture, community, and design, and sustainable housing in urban context. Before we begin, let us honor both nation. Please rise the national anthem of Philippines, followed by the national anthem of Indonesia.
Kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, kaya sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong bagaw, ay hinatang tuglakaw, isang pagkayang minamahal, ang isang patawad mo'y tagumpay ka nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di magtitindig. Luma ng araw ng walang ipagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming bigaya na pagkay mag-amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Okay, thank you so much. To open today's session, we will hear a few words of welcome from our respective institution. Please welcome Dr. Fitri Suryani, Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, University Persada of Indonesia.
Okay, thank you, Jito. Thank you very much for the speech today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let us pray to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His bless and mercy that we can have a meeting today. Salawat and salam to our beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Honorable Prof. Melvin Esquera, Dean of College of Engineering and Architecture, St. Louis College, Filipina. The Honorable Head of Department of Architecture Y.A.I and St. Louis, and the Honorables Board of Speaker, Dr. Winona Soriano and Dr. Euis Puspita Dewi. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great enthusiasm that I welcome you all today. Guest lecture organized by collaboration between Faculty of Engineering Universitas Persada Indonesia Y.A.I and Department of Engineering and Architecture of St. Louis College, Philippines. This event is a wonderful opportunity for us to learn from one of finest men in architecture, especially about housing in Jakarta, Indonesia, and Filipina. Today's lecture on topic housing promises to provide valuable insight and perspective that will enrich our understanding and spark new ideas. Finally, I would like to say thank you for all of your coming and participation, and special thanks for my colleague, the Honorable Dean of College of Engineering and Architecture, Prof. Melvin Esquera, with all of faculty members. Both of guest lecture, Dr. Winona, Elaine Soriano, from St. Louis College, Filipina, and Ibu Dr. Euis Puspita Dewi from Architecture Department, Universitas Persada Indonesia Y.A.I. Thank you very much to support our faculty and university for better collaboration in the future. Thank you very much. Salamat po. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fitri. Okay, next we are pleased to welcome to Dean of College of Engineering and Architecture, St. Louis College, Philippines, for the opening message.
Thank you very much. Our esteemed partners from Universitas Persada Indonesia Y.A.I, the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, Dr. Fitri Suryani, our distinguished speakers from both institutions, Dr. Euis Puspita Dewi of UPI Y.A.I, and Architect Winona Elaine Soriano of St. Louis College, San Fernando City, La Union, and our enthusiastic student participants in this collaborative online international learning program. Good afternoon. It is with great pleasure that I welcome all of you to this exciting journey of collaborative and cross-cultural learning. Today marks not only a meaningful opportunity for our students and faculty to engage in academic exchange, but also a celebration of our shared commitment to connect, collaborate, and learn from one another across borders and cultures. Through these partnerships, we are not merely bridging geographical distances, we are building a global community of learners. The COIL program offers a unique platform to share ideas, foster intercultural understanding, and co-create knowledge that goes beyond traditional classroom boundaries. I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to our partner educators, program coordinators, and all the students whose dedication and enthusiasm have made this collaboration possible. Your participation reflects the spirit of innovation, cooperation, and global citizenship that higher education continues to uphold. As we embark on this endeavor, I encourage everyone to remain open-minded, curious, and respectful of diverse perspectives. Let us make this a truly exciting experience, one that nurtures shared learning and mutual growth. Once again, welcome to the COIL program. I wish everyone a fruitful, inspiring, and memorable exchange ahead. Thank you. And once again, good afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much for your insightful words. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed to the first general lecture delivered by architecture Winona Elaine C. Soriano from St. Louis College, Philippines.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let me just share my slide first.
Okay,
Can you see my slide now?
yes, we can see.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone, from St. Louis College in the Philippines and Universitas Persada Indonesia Y.A.I in Jakarta. So, this afternoon, I'm going to what I hope will discuss or give a lecture. I hope this will be an eye-opening discussion, and not just about socialized housing or senior housing, but about challenging the very foundations of housing policy itself. This lecture, or my lecture, is entitled From Demographic Reality to Architectural Policy, Reforming Socialized Housing Guidelines for the Multigenerational Home. So as we move through this presentation, I want you to think critically about the relationship between law, architecture, and the lives of people. Okay. Let's start with something that is fundamental. Architecture obeys laws. I believe everyone knows this. Every wall that you design, every floor plan that you draw, and every square meter you calculate, it all answers to building codes and, of course, housing regulations. In the Philippines, when we design socialized housing, we are constrained by Batas Pambansa 220, or otherwise known as the Rules and Standards for Economic and Socialized Housing. This law was enacted in 1982, tells us exactly how big or how small these homes can be. But what if these laws themselves are outdated? What if the walls we build actually trap families instead of sheltering them? So this is the question I want you to carry throughout this entire lecture. Look at this image for a moment. This represents a scenario that's increasingly common in the Philippines. Multiple generations living together in an adequate space. So let me paint the picture more clearly. There are 5 or 6 people living in a socialized housing unit that was originally designed for a nuclear family of 4 members. The grandmother might end up sleeping in the living room. There's 1 bathroom for multiple people, no ramps for the elderly, narrow doorways that can't accommodate a wheelchair if one becomes necessary. And here is the uncomfortable truth. This house was actually built according to the law. It meets all the legal requirements, but it absolutely does not work for how Filipinos actually live. So whose reality does housing policy serve? Is it serving the government's production targets, the number of units they can report as completed, or is it serving the Filipino families' survival needs? This brings us to the core argument of today's lecture. The Philippine housing policy is failing to reflect the demographic reality. From BP 220 in 1982 to the proposed Retirement Village Act, currently being deliberated in the Congress, our housing policies fail to acknowledge three critical realities. So these are firstly, the rise of multi-generational households. Secondly, the vulnerability of poor populations. And lastly, the Filipino cultural preference for family-based elderly care. And here's where you come in as future architects. You don't just have the skill to design buildings. You have the responsibility to challenge, reframe, and reform these policies through design thinking that is grounded in data. Your role isn't just to follow regulations. It's to question them when they fail the people you are designing for. So let's take a look at the actual data. So these numbers come from the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, especially from research published by Ballesteros, Ramos, and Ancheta in 2024 and 2022. This research is based on national census data and household surveys. So it says here that multi-generational households have increased from 25% in 1990 to 29% in 2020. That's not a small shift. That's clearly 1/3 of all Filipino families. Secondly, 36% of young adults aged 25 to 34 live with their parents or extended relatives. These aren't teenagers still in school. These are adults in their prime working years who cannot actually afford independent living. We also have 47% of Filipinos aged 65 and above who live in extended family arrangements. Nearly half of our senior citizens are living with their adult children and grandchildren. And here's also a troubling statistic. 18% of elderly live alone. This is what the researchers call the left behind aging population. These numbers aren't just statistics. They represent real families making real adaptations to economic pressures. The data gets even more revealing. Only 56% of households actually own their homes, and it is continually declining. Home ownership, it was once considered achievable for most Filipino families, is becoming increasingly out of reach. And this one is particularly striking. Only 3.55% of young adults aged 25 to 34 have access to Pag-ibig or these are government housing financing schemes or programs. Think about that. The government has these programs, financing and provision of housing units, but they're reaching less than 4% of the young adults who need them most. Why? Because the financing requirements, the down payments and amortization schedules, they're structured for economic conditions that don't match the reality of how much young Filipinos actually earn. Okay. So why is multi-generational living on the rise? The research identifies three drivers, and the first one is economic necessity. Housing has become fundamentally unaffordable, construction costs have skyrocketed, and land prices in urban areas have increased exponentially. Together, these factors exclude young families from the housing market entirely. The result? Young adults pool their income with their parents just to survive. It is not a lifestyle choice, but it is an economic survival strategy. Secondly, the second driver is what researchers call caregiving economics. So in a multi-generational household, your grandparents provide childcare while the parents are working. This is happening because is either institutional daycare is either unavailable or unaffordable for most of the families. Sorry, have to go back. At the same time, your adult children provide elder care. And this is crucial. The research explicitly states that the elderly people prefer to receive care at home from relatives rather than non-relatives. So these multi-generational arrangements create mutual support networks that substitute the inadequate social services. In other countries, the state provides childcare centers and elder care facilities. But in the Philippines, the family has become the social safety net. The third driver is cultural continuity. And yes, there is the Filipino concept of utang na loob or the debt of gratitude, where children feel what children feel towards their parents. There's family solidarity, the value placed on pakikipagkapwa or the shared humanity. And this is important. The Philippine Institute for Development Studies is very clear about this, that the existence of multi-generational living is not just nostalgia or tradition. It is an adaptation to contemporary pressures. Listen to what the researchers say. The formation of extended and multi-family households is not necessarily a negative development. However, the difficulty to access housing also implies a slowdown in the state of new household formation. So what does this mean in plain language? Young couples are actually delaying starting their own families because they can't afford housing. The housing crisis isn't just about space, it's affecting family formation itself. Now let's talk about who actually lives in socialized housing. This is critical for understanding why multi-generational design matters. So according to the PIDS 2024 data on income distribution, let's take a look at this chart. 13.8% of households are poor, 38.1% are low income, 40.4% are middle income, and there is a 6.1% which are undocumented, meaning income data was not available during the time of the survey. The vast majority of Filipinos, over 90%, fall into poor, low income, or middle income categories. These are the families who need socialized housing. And they're the ones being squeezed into inadequate spaces. Let's get even more specific. Who are the beneficiaries of the 4PH program? This is the government's flagship project for socialized housing. According to a 2025 assessment by the University of the Philippines Center for Integrative and Development Studies, the beneficiaries include informal sector workers, daily wage earners, informal settler families, urban poor who are relocated from danger zones, OFW families or the overseas Filipino workers, and lastly, households with limited capacity to enter formal housing market. So these are the most economically vulnerable populations in the country. They cannot afford private housing and they depend on the government for programs. So why does multi-generational design matter specifically for socialized housing? There are three critical reasons. The first one, these populations cannot afford institutional elder care. Retirement villages cost millions of pesos. That's completely out of reach for daily wage earners and informal settlers. Second, they rely on family networks for economic and social survival. Their multi-generational arrangements are not optional. They are essential. So third and most important, socialized housing that ignores multi-generational needs condemns the poor to spatial inadequacy. Later on, I will show a spatial sufficiency data. We're not just talking about discomfort for this. We're talking about families that cannot function. Your elderly who cannot age safely, children who have no space to study, all because our policy refuses to acknowledge how they actually live. Compare that what we currently build a cramped nuclear design with what we should be building, a flexible, multi-generational home. Now let's examine the policy problem. So these next slides will show you the actual standards from our Batas Pambansa 220 and an updated DSUD guideline. I want you to see the regulations not as neutral technical standards, but as political documents that actually embody assumptions about the Filipino family. For an economic housing project, the current standards are the price ceiling. It actually costs 1.7 million pesos with a minimum floor area of 22 square meters. And it has different minimum lot areas according to its typology. The next one, for socialized subdivision projects, the standards are even more constrained. 22 square meters, and if it has a loft, it becomes 24 square meters. You can just look into the slides. These are the spaces meant for the poorest, this socialized housing subdivision project. Most vulnerable families, yet they provide the least room to accommodate the realities of multi-generational living. In conclusion, they are all built for a nuclear family of 4 people. Okay. This slide illustrates the fundamental problem with our current housing policy. So traditional top-down approach. So there is the law policy, which focuses on the number of units and ignores the needs of the people, and hence results in inadequate housing. Actually, in the Philippines, we have an oversupply of condominium units, and a lot of socialized housing are still vacant. So it means that those informal settlers or those who are beneficiaries of the 4PH programs, even though given the chance to live in housing projects provided by the government, they still opt to go back to their old housing environments. So there is a missing link in this approach. There's a missing people-centered design, which should also start with laws and policies, but should integrate the demographic reality and needs of the people in order for designers and planners to develop design solutions that are flexible in order to result into an adequate and supportive housing. That is the paradigm shift that we need. Housing policy must begin with understanding how people actually live and not just the production targets. Now for the reality check. Multi-generational households average 5.18 to 6 members, according to Ballesteros and colleagues. Even with the updated 32 square meter standard, which will give you 5.3 square meter per person for a 6-member household, that's still below the National Building Code standard of 6 square meters per person. And the result, only 61.73 of multifamily households have sufficient space. This is an important thing to note. The adjustments in the floor areas on the previous slide were driven by construction costs due to inflation, not demographic evidence. So the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Design made these changes because building materials got more expensive, not because they studied how Filipino families actually live. So the slide shows you the different household structures, from the nuclear families, extended families, with root family members, and households with other relatives. So all these are being forced into the same nuclear family template. So here's the conclusion. Even though DSUD made marginal improvements in floor area, the fundamental nuclear family bias still persists. So the policy treats multi-generational households as exceptions, requiring upgrades when demographically, they represent 29% of all Filipino families. Nearly 1/3 of all families are being treated as outliers. That's not policy based on evidence. That's policy based on outdated assumptions. Okay, now let's talk about House Bill 02022, the Retirement Village Act, which is currently pending in the Congress. So what it proposes, it wants to institutionalize retirement villages and care facilities, provide long-term residential care communities for the seniors, provide tax incentive for private developers, and government-private partnerships. It sounds progressive, right? Sounds like we're finally addressing senior housing in the Philippines. But here is the problem. The Philippine Institute for Development Studies research directly contradicts this approach. Remember what the research says earlier, that elderly individuals prefer to receive care at home from relatives rather than non-relatives. Elderly are often those with their own homes. This bill seeks to commercialize aging while ignoring how the poor actually age within family homes that the policy refuses to design for. So what is the future of elderly care? Ballesteros and colleagues are explicit. For the elderly cohort, housing need is beyond the owner-renter dichotomy. It is about habitability with multi-generational context. So why is home-based care the future? First is economic reality. The elderlies, they provide housing. The families, their families provide the care, a reciprocal arrangement. Families cannot afford institutional care that costs millions. Second is cultural preference. The concept of pakikipagkapwa or shared humanity is embedded in family caregiving practices. Elderly prefer aging in place with their kin. Thirdly, demographic structure. Rising life expectancy plus the declining household formation, more multi-generational cohabitation. The elderly increasingly live with adult children and their grandchildren. And lastly, policy localization imperative. Housing policy should be localized and responsive to regional household structures, not the one-size-fits-all solution. PIDS explicitly recommends that it would be prudent for the government to focus on multiple paths to housing and to not apply the same interventions for all areas. This is what they call housing aggregation. So if the future is home-based elder care, socialized housing must be designed for it. So what does that mean architecturally? So we have to consider the following principles. Universal design as standard and not a luxury. Flexible configurations where spaces can adapt as family needs changes. Embedded community support where daycare centers and health clinics at barangay level are integrated into the housing developments. So how do we challenge the system? Now, what if we design for reality instead of outdated assumptions? The current approach now is counting the units that are being produced. How many houses did we build this year? That's the metric the government agencies report. What we need is an approach that actually assesses functional adequacy. Can the families actually live in these houses? Or do the spaces support how they function day to day? That's a fundamentally different question, and it requires fundamentally different metrics. So here's a policy reform framework. First one, we would want to redefine who are the beneficiaries of socialized housing. The current definition, because of the spatial considerations as well, are nuclear family. And the nuclear family is defined as there is the head of the household, the spouse, and then the dependents, which are mostly the children. The proposed definition should recognize multiple household types. Of course, the nuclear would still be included, an extended household, multi-generational household, and of course, elderly-headed households as well. So to create this, we have to understand design categories. So for nuclear families or households, we can propose still the 22 to 28 square meter minimum. For extended, multi-generational, and elderly inclusive, I've shown this as blanks in the presentation intentionally. This is where research needs to inform policy. What should these numbers be? This question seeks for evidence-based design. And it's a question that requires collaboration between architects, policymakers, and researchers. Second, we can also amend BP 220 space standards, update the law itself, not just DHSUD circulars, make it legally binding that space standards reflect demographic data. Next, we have to mandate universal design in socialized housing, not as optional upgrades, but as baseline requirements. Accessibility should not be a luxury. And fourth, we have to reject the one-size-fits-all concept and embrace housing diversity. Here, PIDS says about housing diversity. It says here that the estimation of housing need should focus more on issues of habitability and space sufficiency rather than population or household counts. The differences in the age, structure of population imply wide variation in housing needs across cities and localities. In other words, we have to stop counting units and start measuring whether people can actually live with dignity in those units. Notice the pattern in the graph that is provided in the slide. The more people in a household, which are this one, the extended and multiple families, the less likely they are to have sufficient space. This is not accidental, it is architectural. Current housing policy assumes that everyone lives alone or in nuclear families, 4 members. The 38% of multi-generational families living in inadequate space are not making poor choices. They are trapped by the policy that does not acknowledge their existence. But the graph also shows improvement over the decade, which might be encouraging. But ask yourself, is 61% sufficiently acceptable? Should we celebrate that 4 out of 10 multi-generational families still do not have enough space? Okay. While a lone household, enjoy over 90% space sufficiency, multi-generational and extended family households struggle with only 61 to 64 sufficiency. The challenge for you as future architects and policymakers, what should be the housing mix? If 29% of families are multi-generational, shouldn't roughly 29% of socialized housing units be designed for multi-generational living? Or should it be higher, anticipating the trend because we are moving towards an aging population? These results show that access to larger size dwellings is a constraint for big size households. The policy implication is clear. We need housing diversity and not uniform minimum units. Now let's get into the design. So these principles are from Lombawa's 2018 doctoral thesis on housing multi-generational environments. So this suggests different principles on how we can meet the criteria for multi-generational type of housing. So the first principle is elasticity. It wants to suggest modular partitions wherein rooms can be reconfigured as the families grow or shrink. It can also have expandable shells, such as the incremental housing similar to Alejandro Aravena's half of a house concept, or convertible spaces wherein your dining room can act as an elderly care suite afterwards, or a study that can become a bedroom after. Second principle is your universal design, wherein we design for the full human lifespan, from childhood through parenthood to old age. The same dwelling should accommodate changing bodies and changing abilities. Third principle is the rise of mid-rise or community-embedded typology. Around 4 to 8 stories of housing with elevator use as access or walkable radius of 400 meters to markets, clinics, and public transports. And fourth principle is intergenerational integration, wherein the people would feel like they are separate but connected as well. So there is a visual and acoustic privacy while maintaining family proximity. So shared spaces are encouraged to foster interaction. So here's the challenge now to you as students. Architects don't just follow laws. We have the responsibility to question them when they fail the people we designed for. This isn't radical. This is professional responsibility. When a building code produces uninhabitable housing, when a regulation ignores how people actually live, you have an ethical obligation to challenge it. So what can architecture students do? So here are some recommendations. So design as policy critic. We have design subjects, and of course for the graduating students or later years, you have your thesis. So I hope you make your thesis not just as a building, but a policy argument that is rendered in space. So thesis projects, you can propose alternative socialized housing typologies grounded in demographic data. So don't just design another pretty aesthetic building. Design a building that proves current standards are inadequate. You can also conduct post-occupancy studies where you can document the spatial oversights in existing housing, go to actual socialized housing sites, interview residents, measure how spaces are being used versus how they were designed to be used, and also conduct comparative analysis by showing current standards excluding multigenerational families. You can also participate in policy formation. You can submit position papers during public hearings on housing bills. You can comment. Your voice as future architects matters in shaping legislation. You can also educate the public and policymakers. So you can translate research into images. Architecture students or architects in general are good visualizers. Research is sometimes boring for the general people. They cannot understand these numbers, these statistics. So you can actually use your visualization skills to promote this information or researches. And fourthly, build evidence for reform. You can map actual household compositions versus design assumptions and show the gap between policy and reality. On the other end, what must architecture education do? So this is for us in the academy. We have to integrate critical policy literacy. We have to teach students to build or to read building codes as political documents and not just neutral standards. Every regulation actually embodies assumptions about the society, the minimum standards, etc. Make those assumptions visible. And we also have to reframe our professional responsibility. Walls follow laws, but architects serve the public by helping to ensure that these laws reflect how people actually live. And lastly, we can also foster transnational collaboration. Indonesian students and Filipino students, you face similar challenges in your respective countries. We are actually going towards an aging population. Learn from each other's approaches, share strategies, research, and design solutions. So bringing this all together, the demographic reality in the Philippines, 29% of Filipino households are multi-generational. 47% of elderly live in extended families. Housing unaffordability drives cohabitation, and elderly care is and will remain home-based and family-based. So what are the policy flaws? Our Batas Pambansa 220 and the National Housing Authority Guidelines and the proposed Retirement Village Act still assume that nuclear families and institutional care are predominant. Production targets prioritize unit counts over household needs, and 61.73% of multifamily households lack adequate space. So laws are designed in the 1980s govern 2025 realities. So the bottom line, demographic trends should dictate design standards. Socioeconomic factors should shape spatial policy. Architecture must translate lived reality into the built form. And when law prevents that, architecture must help rewrite the law. So to the students here today, both from the Philippines and Indonesia, you're entering practice at a historic moment. Your countries are aging. Our countries are aging. Our families are adapting. But our building codes are frozen in time. Let me leave you with 3 questions to guide your future practice. If a grandmother cannot safely live in the house that you design, have you truly designed a home? Second question, if a poor family cannot afford to age together with dignity in socialized housing, have we truly housed them? And last question, if laws prevent humane design, whose responsibility is it to rewrite the laws? The answer to that last question is yours. The responsibility is yours. As architects, you have both the technical capability and the ethical obligation to advocate for policies that serve real people, not outdated assumptions. So thank you, and I look forward to our question and answer portion later on.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Winona, for your insightful presentation. As those who don't know, Miss Soriano is an educator and practitioner with extensive experience in community planning and architectural research. She currently serves as assistant instructor at the College of Engineering and Architecture, where she teaches architectural design, planning theories, and research methodology. Okay, next to second presentation. We now move to second presentation. We invite lecture present by Dr. Euis Puspita Dewi, STMT, MSE from Universitas Persada Indonesia Y.A.I. Okay, Dr. Euis Puspita is a lecturer and research, currently serving as Vice Director for Research at the Institute for Research and Community, SERV, LPPM, UPIAI. Her expertise includes architecture, urban history, and community-based housing and design, with a strong focus on heritage conservation and urban resilience. She has spoken at numerous national and international forums, including Winner 2025, where she presents heritage, city, and urban resilience, and text through her talk, The Dark Side of Jakarta Architectural Past. She was also featured in the Vox Media and Netflix documentary, Jakarta is Sinking, discussing how colonial-era urban planning continues to shape Jakarta's environmental and housing challenge. Today, Dr. Puspita will present her lecture titled Community-Based Architecture in Urban Context, Research and CU Design Approach in the Design of Senior Housing in Jakarta. Please welcome Dr. Puspita Dewi, STMTS.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jito. The Honorable, the Dean of St. Louis College and the Dean of Universitas Persada Indonesia Y.A.I. And thank you very much, Mrs. Winona. Your presentation is very wonderful presentation. Your presentation is very inspiring, and I think it is very relevant with the topic and discussion today, and it is an opportunity for us to make the next collaboration about multi-generation, because actually we also have the project for multi-generation living. Okay. I would like to slide show. Yeah. I would like to express my gratitude to St. Louis College for the wonderful opportunity to share and learn together. It is the joint lecture that implementation of MOU that we have done on 13 June 2025. I think it is the real step after the signing of our MOU to keep working together, share knowledge, build new ideas, and strengthen our connection as partner university. And in this time, just now, from Mrs. Winona, so many insight from Ms. Winona can we get. Actually, honestly, when I visit to Philippines, I felt like a home, like my home, because maybe because we have so many similarity. Besides, we have the same geography as the island nation. But not only this, we have also the same in our culture, our warmth, and also our way of welcoming others. So when I visit to Philippines, I feel like my home. And about multi-generational living, it is the same problem. Indonesia also has a problem. So today I and my student, I share time with my student. We'll share our experience in Indonesia, especially especially Jakarta, on how research and community-based design can help us create architecture that truly cares for people. So my topic, I choose my topic, community-based architecture in urban context. He's architect from Indonesia. He said that architecture not only about walls, it is about humanity. It means architecture not only about buildings, it is about people. If I refer the statement from Mrs. Winona, design as a policy critic, design as policy critic. So architecture not about building, not about structure, not about form, but architecture is it is about people, their stories, their emotion, and their everyday life. He's Romo Mangunwijaya. He's architect, writer, and also very humanist. So he reminds us that every design decision should be begin with empathy. empathy and understanding how people live, what they value, what they need to feel safe, connected, and respected. Sometimes architect forgets with people. It's just about building. Actually, when architect listen people, it becomes meaningful part of their lives. This is Kampung Chode. In Indonesia, informal settlement in Indonesia, we call kampung. So many kampung in urban area in Indonesia that the same condition, the same character. Kampung Chode is the pioneer for the revitalization by architect Romo Mangun Wijaya, and it's one of her famous work. And Kampung Chode is a riverside settlement in Yogyakarta that used to be full gearbacks and seen as a backside of the city. But Romo Mangun success to make Kampung Chode make Kampung Chode turn the riverbank from backyard to into the front yard. We can see this is in the past. Kampung Chode has so many gearbacks area, but after revitalization, the river is clean, and as a front yard. Yeah. When we talk about urban reality, we cannot separate it from our informal settlement that we call kampung. And actually, kampung has already exists since colonial period. And unfortunately, kampung areas are often seen as in a negative way. Many people still associate kampung with poverty, chaos, and unplanned growth. Kampung often represents something to be erased and not something to be understood. Kampung are viewed as a problem, places that don't fit with image of modern life. Because of this perception, so many revitalization effort often only focus on physical improvement, while forgetting the social and cultural values that make this community strong. Actually, kampung show many beautiful beauty of urban life. They have strong social connection and local wisdom that keep the community alive. Even they live in the limited space, people share activities, help each other, and create their own rules. This is why many revitalization program in Jakarta today try to improve kampung quality without destroy its spirit. It is the different from the previous time. Revitalization only focused beautification, and there are many examples for about the kampung. Yeah, kampung has a thematic. Yeah, this is the example of our kampung in urban area. We have colorful kampung that residents transform their neighborhood by painting houses, fences, and public space in bright coordinated colors. And also we have a hydroponic kampung that teach about urban farming to sustainability life in settlement, informal settlement. And we have also literacy kampung as a resident, as a education and literacy for the children. We have also culture kampung Betawi. Kampung Betawi. Betawi is original culture in Jakarta that it is a cultural settlement that preserve the traditional architecture, art, and lifestyle of Jakarta indigenous people, Betawi people. And this is also Kampung Mural with the creative urban revitalization initiative where residents and local artists transform neighborhood walls into vibrant work of art. This is the example also about the revitalization of kampung. Revitalization means improving the kampung without displacing its people. In the revitalization, we focus not only on physical improvement, but also about social empowerment and cultural preservation together. This is the example, Cakung Vertical Kampung, Aquarium Vertical Kampung, and Kunir Vertical Kampung. They provide better housing and sanitation while keeping the community spirit alive. Revitalization is not about beautification, but it's about the reviving life and dignity in the city. In this picture, we can see although the form of settlement has changed, but from landed housing to vertical housing, the spirit of community remains the same. We can see the children still play outside together, filling the open space with laughter. Mother hang their laundry by window while chatting with neighbors, and also some residents still can open home business selling snack, drink, and daily goods, turning their living space into places of livelihood. Now, what is community-based architecture? Community-based architecture is focused on a participatory design approach and about trust, because without trust, community-based architecture can be running. Community-based architecture contribute ideas and make decision together with architect. People can give idea and give solution with architect before design. And why community-based architecture? Because community-based architecture can encourage participation and ownership, build social resilience, adapt to changing needs, and integrate local knowledge. There are 4 principles of human-centered design. We can start, architect can start by understanding people needs, emotions, and experience, and after that we can solve the right problem. No, not just any problem, but we can solve with the real issue that affect their life. And the third, we have to aware that everything is a system. Every design connect to a larger social and environmental context. And fourth, architect can give a solution for only for small and simple intervention. And this is the design process. We can start with observation. And this is the starting point of the design process, because in this process we can know and we can see what is the need, what is something that make people comfort, people safe, and how people can make activities like here day culture and dialogue. It is also very important for design, for architect, because it is the connection and between architect with the people. People can share ideas, priorities, challenge, and turning information into mutual understanding. And co-design is critical point that very important, because in this step, architect and the people can make collaboration to create solution together. And construction can also do collaboration in collaboration. And after that, finally we can also evaluate, reflection, and make evaluate how people use, feel, and interact within the space. From the community-based architecture, we can know about the architect role. Architect not only as a designer, but also has to be facilitator, and architect not only as an expert, but also has to be a listener, and not only a planner, but also have to be a collaborator. And this is the example, the picture for example, our student that do the observation and dialogue, and also co-design to collect the aspiration from the user, from the people, when they do the project of design. This is a house that has multi-generation living in only 15 meters square. There are 11 people live in the home. I think it's the same, that Mrs. Winona explained about multi-generational living. And I think the factor is the same about economic, and also caregiving economic, and also culture continuity. It is the important beside economic. Yeah. After my presentation, my student will present the project of senior housing. Based on approach to community before they make a design. For me, it's enough. Then Jito, maybe you can give a time for the for Ridwan to present the project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Puspita. Following Dr. Puspita talk, we are delighted to present a student showcase from University Persada Indonesia Y.A.I, representing the young generation of designers who continue the spirit of community-based architecture. Please welcome Muhammad Ridwan Wicaksono, a third-year architecture student at UPI. Ridwan is passionate about architectural design and construction system, believing that good architecture emerges from empathy, design that listen to human needs and respect its environment. He has represented his university in various external forums, including a representation at Jakarta City Hall during the MBKM Receh program, where he delivered a study titled Wetlands of Aegean's Community Residence. His collaborative research focused on design, inclusive, sustainable, and community-oriented houses for senior living environment. Today, he will present his project titled Senior Housing and Senior Living with Community-Based Approach. Please welcome Mr.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Euis and Jeto. Can everyone see my slides? Yeah, okay.
Yes, we can see that.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ridwan from Y.A.I Persada Indonesia University, Department of Architecture. And today I'll be sharing my design exploration on dementia-friendly senior housing as part of my architecture studio project. This presentation focuses on two related works. First, my research from last year during my exchange study at the University of Indonesia. And second is my project from last semester. Both projects explore how behavioral and community-based design can improve the well-being of elderly people in Jakarta with dementia in Jakarta's urban context. Wait. Okay. My first senior housing project is Omah Wida. Omah Wida is named from Javanese. The name means house of 60s, as Omah means house and Wida means 60. Omah Wida adopts Javanese vernacular approach, reflecting the cultural background of most residents in the senior housing. It's located within a residential neighborhood, Kampung, in Pademangan, North Jakarta. So the elderly don't feel separated from the community. The goal was to make them feel at home, surrounded by familiar forms and a sense of belonging. The concept integrated Javanese vernacular and tropical architecture to create a contextual, comfortable, and sustainable living environment. Characteristic elements such as the joglo roof. Joglo roof is the traditional roof from Java. Open corridors and local materials represent identity, warmth, and cultural memory, helping the residents feel safe and emotionally connected to the space. The spatial arrangement focuses on behavior and routine. There are communal areas for social interaction, hydroponic and herbal gardens as therapeutic activities, and outdoor spaces for exercise and sunlight exposure. Every element from handrails to gentle ramps, support comfort, mobility, and safety for the elderly. The design ensures accessibility and safety through continuous handrails, non-slip surfaces, and clear circular path. Lighting and visibility were also key, allowing the seniors to move confidently and independently. Omah Wida applies dementia-friendly principles by creating clear spatial orientation and familiar environment. Gardening and daily activity become part of the therapy, helping the seniors to stay active, calm, and socially connected. The goal is to make the space intuitive and emotionally comforting, just like their home. Okay, and this is my senior housing project from last semester named Clover Senior Living. Clover Senior Living continues the same behavioral approach as like Omah Wida, but in a high-rise building, urban context. Located in Cipayung, East Jakarta, the project responds to the city's land scarcity by using a vertical typology and apartment-style senior housing that remains community-oriented and dementia-friendly. The project provides a safe, organized, and inclusive environment for seniors with cognitive limitation. The design offers continuous circulation with no dead ends, clear wayfinding, and strong visual identity in each zone, and that helping residents to navigate independently with confidence. Shared facilities such as therapeutic gardens, hydrotherapy centers, and communal lounges encourage interaction and meaningful daily activities. The building also includes a refugee floor for emergency situations, ensuring safety and resilience while maintaining comfort and dignity for every resident. I think that's all my project for senior housing. Both project, Omah Wida and Clover Senior Living, explore how architecture can influence behavior, memory, and emotional well-being for elderly people with dementia, whether through cultural familiarity or vertical adaptation. The goal is the same, to design space that care, heal, and connect. So yeah, I think that's all my presentation of my senior housing project. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ridwan, for inspiring presentation from the student perspective. Now we will open the question and answer season. All of participants here, you can send your question to box or or raise your hand to directly speak. Who have a question, you can ask for three speakers. Dr. Euis, Dr. Euis, Puspita, and Dr. Winona, Miss Winona, and Ridwan. If anyone have a question, or you can speak directly to ask for the three speaker what did make you confused about the building that they make.
There is no question for us. Maybe before the question from student on the people in this Zoom, I would like to ask the Miss Winona my my question. You talk about the multi-generational homes in Philippines. How can architect and policymaker work together to make a community-based housing more inclusive? Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that question. I just recently bumped into this research from the Philippine Institute of Development Studies. So they are the research generator for the Philippines. They research on these kinds of topic. So recently, they have published the demographic trend in the housing in general in the Philippines. So they have actually identified that actually globally we are an aging population, and the Philippines is going there. And they have related the resources or the housing pool in the Philippines. They related it to the population trend. They have identified that a lot of people, a lot of Filipinos actually are moving into cohabitation because of the unaffordable pricing market. So how can this become community-based? They also suggested that because our housing projects or housing planning and design projects are usually standardized. I don't know if it's also standardized in Indonesia, but we have a standard design. They have they actually give us the minimum dimensions, etc. But these standard designs don't actually meet the current needs of different population. Let's say, for example, the urban population or the urban household family has a different need compared to the more rural counterparts. So that is where community-based architecture should be injected, because not all your urban needs has your urban households have different activities, have different what do you call this preferences. Well, on the other hand, the rural ones, they are more detached from these things, and they are more into social interactions among their community. So I think that is where community-based or regional-based design should be included, not just a design that is standardized, but it should be unique to the local of the or to the local or the population.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Yeah, discuss about multi-generational living. So far, how has the government responded to the growing phenomenon of multi-generational living in Philippine urban areas? Because maybe I would like to explain about Indonesia, because in Jakarta especially, so many houses that has multi-generational living, but resident the people only make make a solution in their own solution. For example, in these houses, they make a renovation for their houses with the separate with the spirit room. For example, the first children that has married ate the room and ate the stair in the front of housing, in front of house, and in back house. No policy as a response from government in Indonesia. Kampung as a informal settlement, they built and they design by self construction. How about in Philippines, especially maybe in Manila and the other urban area?
Unfortunately, we still have the definite design in the Philippines, so it doesn't allow actually for expansion. Actually, we also observe this type of construction from informal settlements, especially we're in a coastal area. So what happens to these informal settlers? They start building their house near the road network. And then as the family extends, they extend towards the ocean. So which actually adds to the risk that they can that may affect them because of those extensions. I'm not sure how the government is dealing with this, but currently the designs or the planning design standards that they are distributing doesn't still allow for expansion that is incorporating or encouraging participation from the inhabitants of these projects.
Yeah, I think your research is very important for your government to handle the multi-generational living because I think in my opinion, multi-generational living can be problem solving for the housing. Yeah, because for effective living, for the saving for transportation, because multi-generation living usually in the urban area that close with a working area, close with the central business, and in if people make a multi-generational living in their home, it is very effective. But if it is not apa diatur, it's not make us policy for to manage. I think it is it can be wild, yeah, housing wild. Yeah, I think like this. How about the participant in Zoom? Maybe you can give us the question, and maybe you can give opinion and about the multi-generational living and community-based architecture. Maybe Ridwan can start to ask or make a statement to give spirit for participants. I'm excited with the class. Yeah, there are class many student in one class. Is it architecture student?
Yes, they are architecture students. They actually have a class. It's Design 7. It is about community architecture. I think their design problem is about the barangay complex. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I may ask a question, I want to ask because
Oh,
no
yeah.
one's asking is, in Indonesia, um, do these informal settlers are they being resettled away from their original settlement, or the revitalization is within that original settlement?
Yeah. Actually, informal settlement has already exist since colonial era. So many story to talk about settlement informal, because it started when the colonial come to Jakarta, Batavia, in the time when colonial government need the people to construct the infrastructure. So there are urbanization can that occur from the other area to Jakarta. So Jakarta has the what is kantong, has the slave or urban area, and they actually it is not original, yeah, not original settlement like the other area in Indonesia, like Japanese, like in the um yeah, and uh west or north area in Indonesia. There is a vernacular aspect, traditional uh, building, traditional houses, but informal settlement in Jakarta is based on the other people from the other area, like from Sumatra, from Bugis in the in area Indonesia, the outside Jakarta.
Because in the Philippines, these informal settlers are, because there is an original owner of the lot that they are inhabiting, right? So once this owner wants to take back this
Oh,
land, yeah.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think talking about original owner in Indonesia not already have apa ya has owner. The resident of informal settlement is not original owner. They usually rent to the other people. Then it is not clear about the belonging of the houses. Yeah, and it is a homework for our government to manage about the law of owner of houses in especially in settlement or informal settlement.
So for them to be like relocated, where does your government usually place them? Because for us, usually these informal settlers are being relocated on the suburbs, away from the central business district where their livelihoods actually are. So what they do is, after they are being resettled, and they'll just stay there for a couple of months or years, and then they're going back to their informal settlements before. Is that the same trend that's happening to Indonesia as well?
Yeah. I think it's similar, yeah, with Philippines, because um, many people also moved to suburb area. But so many people that don't want to move to the other area. They want to be still in the house, so they live in multi-generational living. Is it a question from
Uh,
participant?
I have one question, Euis,
Oh
Fitri.
yes, please,
Uh,
Ibu Fitri.
yeah, thank you for the inspiring presentation from Dr. Winona and Dr. Euis. I have one question for Dr. Winona. How your presentation about housing in maybe senior citizen. I want to know about the public facility for the senior resident in Filipina. Maybe about bedroom, toilet, and any facility for the senior resident. Why about the standard in design in Philippines, and for Ibu Dr. Ais, maybe about the different or about maybe about basic design for Ridwan presentation before about the dementia resident. Thank you.
Good afternoon po. For the elderly facilities in the Philippines, because of our culture that usually elderly care is done home-based or family-based, it is only just recent that we are venturing into these types of facilities. But there are local government units that are actually providing facilities for their elderly, but they are usually located in the more urbanized areas, such as Metro Manila. Pasig City has one. I think they just inaugurated it this year, and several other municipal local government units. But for us, in the more less urbanized areas, we still care for our elderly home-based or family-based. But if I may share, when before architecture, I actually enrolled in nursing. I was a nursing student before. So one of our duties were we went to a hospice in Manila wherein we took care of the elderly. So this one, they are taking in different types of those that are abandoned. So they have elderly care, those with dementia and other mental illnesses. They also had abandoned children. So those were the facilities. And usually they are under a private sector. That's how the elderly care is done, or either those that are abandoned and those that are voluntarily going into an elderly care facility. So usually the design is more like a house. It looks like a house. For those who are voluntarily going into a elderly care facility, they actually have their own single attached house in that complex. But for those who were surrendered by the family because they weren't able to care for them because of financial constraints, they usually live in a dorm-like environment.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Winona.
Okay, thank you for the question, Ibu Fitri Suryani. Maybe I think the second question is suitable answered by Ridwan, because he choose dementia as a basic uh, uh, consideration for the design, because dementia is a condition that so many elderly has dementia. So the design has to give solving for the dementia, how to make safe, yeah, for the elderly, how to stimulate the brain for the elderly, and how the room can make the comfort and the other consideration for the dementia. Maybe Ridwan, can you answer about the dementia as a basic consideration for your design?
Okay, thank you for the question, Ibu Euis. My design for dementia, I choose because I see not all the senior housing in Indonesia has provide for dementia friendly at has a facility that dementia friendly, and yeah, so I choose dementia for my design. And apa ya, and the Omahwida, I choose dementia because I don't want them to feel separated from the neighborhood, so I design it in kampung, in middle of kampung, so they can feels like home, as dementia people hate to what is it, uh they uh they don't feel comfortable with apa ya, asing itu, wait,
Um,
unfamiliar environment, so I design from Japanese vernacular architecture, so the dementia people feels like their own home. Yeah, so yeah, the main reason is, yeah, that's in Indonesia there's no provide dementia friendly facilities, especially for those middle low class. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. As a topic today about the community-based architecture, do you make a conversation or dialogue with the user, dementia, especially dementia elderly, to before you make a design?
So I have a interview with some elderly in senior housing. I uh make to in apa interview in to senior housing is one in Pademangan, that's my site for Omahwida, and the one is in Cibubur, it's in Pademangan is for middle low, and in Cibubur is middle high, but I can't find any elderly with dementia in there, so I think there's hard to interviewing with elderly with dementia, best exactly we can interview with caregiver, but there are no elderly people with dementia in the senior housing. Yeah, and I based on my literature studies, it's not for dementia, but for elderly friendly facilities is from my interview with those elderly people in senior housing.
Yeah. Mrs. Winona, I think it is very interesting to discuss about the dementia theory in multi-generational living. Yeah. What is your opinion about how the architect respond to with the dementia dementia parents, maybe in their living there is a parent that has dementia, for example.
Yeah. Actually, patients with dementia are they need special care because of their situation. So living in a multi-generational dwelling with a dementia patient would be very hard for the other members as well. So I think for this one, in order for us to still manage to incorporate these patients in a multi-generational household, I think we have to build support systems that are near these dwellings. Like, for example, there are clinics, there are healthcare facilities that are within the vicinity that could actually support the needs of this special uh, members of our family or household.
Okay, I see there is a question and raise hand from SLCR Design 7, please.
Hello. So we have a question, ma'am. Um, for Mr. Muhammad Ridwan. So, basically, like aside from like building codes, do we have other guidelines specifically for housing for the elderly, especially the ones with dementia in Indonesia?
Yeah, so the approach for dementia friendly senior living that I built is clear circulation and I'm sorry, looping circulation, so the elderly can find their room, so they can get lost. And for dementia, the approach in Omahwida is not in medical, so I choose hydroponic and herbal garden for their therapeutic. And for dementia again is the key is why finding, so there can get lost. The why finding is can be the identity on their doors or their favorite things in front of their room, so they can identify, oh, this is my room. So they yeah, so easily can um get access to their rooms, not get lost. Yeah. Apa ya? Udah. I think that's all for dementia design in architecture, not in medical. Yeah.
Okay, Acosta, if you have a question, you can open your.
Good afternoon po. Am I audible? Um, I have a question for I have a question in terms of housing.
Your
Ma'am,
voice too loud.
I'm sorry. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Ma'am Winona, you've mentioned that we need housing diversity. How do we reflect diversity in our housing designs? Do we adjust the space requirements or the sizes, or how do we practically apply the diversity in our designs?
Okay, in terms of housing diversity, there is a recommendation from the Philippine Institute of Development Studies about housing agglomeration because the government actually produces housing units like row houses, right? And then they are all single attached, single detached types of houses. So what we need to do is to diversify, meaning we have to propose different space requirements, and we have to actually relate it to the demographics of that particular context. Let's say, for example, that in the city of San Fernando, just an example, this is not an exact statistics or data. There is an emerging trend that there are a lot of the workforce is emerging. So this workforce people like your young adults ages 25 to 34, they're actively looking for housing, not just about socialized housing, but they wanted to separate from their family. So when you're going as the government, if you're going to provide housing for all, because the government does not only provide housing for socialized people, for the informal settlers, etc. They can also provide housing for government employees and other populations that needed help in order for them to acquire housing units. So you have to understand these demographic trends. So which age group are actively looking for housing programs coming from the government? And from that, you can create a percentage or a proportion of the types of housing that you would provide later on. I hope that answers your question, or if you have more clarification.
Thank you, ma'am. That's okay na po. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much to our speakers and participants for an insightful and collaborative discussion. We will now proceed with the certificate distribution to our three presenter, Architect Winona, Elaine. Okay. The certificate will hand over to Miss Dr. Euis Puspita from Dr. Prof. Melvin Aguera. From, okay, wait. Okay. Okay, and for Miss Soriano, the certificate will be hand over from the Dean, Miss Fitri, the Dean, Miss Fitri.
Okay, Zito, thank you.
Mas Yuni,
Mas Yuni, can you show
can you show the certificate?
okay. Okay, thank you. Our appreciation.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, to close the program, we invite the both representative from both institutions to deliver their closing remarks. Okay, the closing remarks from University Persada Indonesia, Engineer Ari Wijaya, MSE, will present it. He will serve as closing remarks speaker at the end of the event.
Okay, thank you, Jeto. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for your joining us today and contributing to general lecture today. Thank you very much to our speakers, Ms. Architect Winona Elaine C. Soriano from St. Louis College, Philippines, Dr. Euis Puspita Dewi from Universitas Persada Indonesia Y.A.I, and Muhammad, an inspiring presentation. Today, lecture has shown how architecture can connect people, culture, and the society. From socialist housing policies in Philippines to community-based design and senior housing project in Indonesia. This collaboration between St. Louis College and EngineeringArchitecture marks an important step in strengthening academic partnership between our two countries. We'll continue to inspire both our students and lecturers to exchange knowledge, collaborate on research, and design solutions that promote empathy, sustainability, and better quality of life for our communities. Thank you once again for your participation and support. We look forward to seeing you at our future collaboration event. Have a wonderful day and keep stay healthy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much,
Jacob.
Engineer. As we conclude this event, we would like to thank everyone for joining and supporting this collaborative lecture between EngineeringArchitecture and St. Louis College. Let's capture this moment together. Please turn on your camera for our group photo season. Thank you once again. Can you open everyone, can you open your camera?
Miss Uni,
Okay.
maybe
Oh.
Jeto can count.
Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, next
Once
slide.
more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you once again for being part of this cross-cultural academic exchange. We wish you all continued success, collaboration, and inspiration in your future. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jeto. Thank you very much, Jeto.
Thank you very much from
Thank you
St.
very
Louis
much. Thank you very,
College. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Mr.
thank
Prof.
you.
Melvin. Thank you very much for Winona. Thank you for all.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for all
Thank
for
you.
joining.